Big up, big up, big up, and welcome to Liverpool 12th Man Show. I am going to be doing most likely the show without a panel today. I'm hopefully we'll get some people to join, but I know it's late in the UK, so I'm going to do what I do and get this started properly by saying big up to all those out there that are joining me. Shout out to Dustin, Trudon, and AR. Um, I did see that our boy Wirtz got a goal today, which was really, really good to see. Big up John Conway, by the way. Big up. Not sure if you're still enjoying the birthday festivities still going on it's your birthday month, so you could play it out that way. But Wirtz finally got a goal today. He was getting some type of, I would say ridicule, but he was definitely getting some criticism from Nagelsmann. He was being called out, and he stepped up today. Understand that it isn't exactly it isn't an elite tier international team that they were going up against, but still all the same. Northern Ireland is a squad that can pose problems. So it was a good result for him, and I hope that he can kind of give him a little spark, I guess you could say, give him a little spark into getting involved into this season and really starting to make a move, because we could use it for him. We could certainly use it for him. He's a player that we all really do appreciate and really do think is possibly one of the gems, if not the gem of the window, all depending on what your preference is. But again, I'm hoping that it does initiate some type of spark for him. We also know that there are games that have gone through, and I think the most important thing about these games, at least, is that it's just getting through these games without injury. My U.S. men's national team got served by Korea, and it wasn't good. We had some issues to work out, and I know some international teams are trying to work out their issues with their clubs, but obviously before the World Cup. But what it is with us going into this window is more about maybe some players getting back their fitness, maybe some players getting back their forms, and also primarily the most important thing is getting back to the club healthy. That was certainly the most important part about it. But today's show, we're going to get into the 2025 summer transfer window. It's definitely, it's slammed shut with a lot of moves being made. It wasn't just any window. It was a wild one, chaotic at times, sometimes a little bit over dramatic. Had a lot of the sagas that continuously went on it would seem to be without end at times. It was record breaking. In fact, the Premier League clubs spent over $3 billion, close to $4. Some reports have it up over at the number of 4, but close to $3 to $4 billion spent. That's right, $3 billion with a B, people, and that smashes the previous record before this was 700 million pounds less than what we've seen accomplished in this window. 700. They spent an additional 700 million pounds in this window. In some windows, that is a window. That's what's wild about it. So now some clubs went all in. Let's just keep it 100. I know a lot of people recognize the fact that that could be mentioned possibly by our club as well. We had some big money deals. We had some superstar moves. Had some ruthless squad upgrades, I would say. Some that saw players leave clubs, some that saw players stay with the clubs but be relegated to squad conditions. Other teams, not so much. There are some teams out there that sat on their hands, watched players leave. now they're less scrambling or were less scrambling. They're going to have to pull it all together to try to stay in the Premier League and get through what will be a very, very difficult year amongst some clubs that are very, very well conditioned to make some real runs. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to rank all 20 Premier League clubs by their transfer window business. We're going to build it tier style, like a tier list style. I'm going to include a tier list. I'm going to take the tier up and down occasionally because unfortunately with the tier list or with the the create a tier list thing, they will have ads on it, and sometimes those ads are sometimes the ads take up the entire screen. So I'm going to be sure or make sure best at least make sure I so let me bring up the tier. I put it into basically into 6 tiers, by the way. So there will be some people that think that maybe I'm a little, but it will be, you'll see the madness for what it is. You'll definitely see the madness for what it is. Let me just make sure I have this all correct here. And you can tell me what you think about what version of the tier system I have set up. Basically, what I do have is a setup that's going to, break down needs of clubs, whether it ended up making the club weaker or stronger in certain areas that they did need to improve on. Obviously, I'll have the top tier, the A tier, being the absolute winners, and then it'll tier down all the way to the F tier, which is the you get a failing grade type tier. That is going to be the case. So we'll see who are the absolute winners. We'll see who's ambitious, strong, maybe a piece short, maybe. Who's stuck in the neutral spot, who's stuck in that mid-table realm, and then again, finally, who flopped on our tier list as well. We're going to go club by club, giving you the reasons, the context, and all the fallout. And of course, I want to hear your voices, so please do chime in. Like I said, I might get a panel, I might not. So if you can today, I gave the panel some homework assignments, so that's probably why they're all, not all, but why a good number of them are playing hooky from class today. But it's all good. It's all good. Big up, Edward, by the way. Big up. You can tell me also who's mostly likely to regress this summer, and who might regret the fact that they didn't make any deals. But I'm going to start off, okay, and make sure I get this tier set up. So I'm going to bring up the tier. This is how I have it set up again. You can see. All right. I'm going to go from best to worst. I know some people tend to go from worst to best, but I'm going to go from best to worst and just rip the Band-Aid off. There's only the A tier that I have here should be nicknamed the Supreme Team tier. Some have it as being the revision of what might be the Premier League's version of the Galacticos. It's obvious to me that there's a lot more to do than just see something on paper. You have to definitely win things for that to actually stick. But for me, I think the team that had, and then people can say that I'm being biased or maybe partial, but I don't believe so. I think a good majority of people will say this in agreement, despite not getting the final piece of that defensive coverage that we were looking for. I still had this summer being Liverpool summer. I'll put Liverpool in the A spot, by the way. I have Liverpool in the A spot. Let me make this a little bit smaller, actually. I have Liverpool in the A spot because I honestly do think that we had the best summer out of all the teams. I honestly do. Look, last summer under Arne Slot, we barely made any acquisitions. I get that. I think that we got a steal of an acquisition in Chiesa. Obviously, Marmardashvili was the year before that, but I still think that that was an excellent acquisition as well. So we solidified our future proofing of our goalkeeper. We brought in a player that has been world class at some point in his career. Had a pretty significant injury to his knee injury. However, has worked his way back in Chiesa. This year, different story. Absolutely night and day different story. Richard Hughes and Slot were nuclear for some people that like to use that word. I want to use it properly. Richard Hughes and Slot went nuclear. Alexander Isak was bought for, depending on what publication you read, 125 million to 130 million pounds. Florian Wirtz for 100 to 110 million pounds. That's two British transfer records in one window. And then you add Hugo Ekitike for 69 million pounds. You had Frimpong for 29.5 million pounds. You had, let's just round up to 30 million. Kerkez for 40 million pounds. And then, as I said before, Marmardashvili to finally solve the long-term keeper succession, which was huge. But that's not tinkering. That's domination, in my opinion, of figuring out how you're going to get a new era of football for this club. We enjoyed the ins and outs of the Klopp era. I think for some of us, it was not only a great era, it was possibly one of the best eras that some of us have been able to experience firsthand. Not all of us, but for some of us that maybe started watching the club anytime after the 90s. That might be your interpretation. It certainly is mine. But they, I would say we didn't just buy for depth. We bought to future-proof positions like I spoke on, because Trent Alexander-Arnold leaving was a huge, huge miss for us. We had to do something. I know some people aren't really sold on Trent Alexander-Arnold being a right back, for instance. Some might not be sold on him being as key or as important of a component of our team as some might think. I personally do. I think Trent Alexander-Arnold was one of the unique players that you do build a team around, a premise of what your team is going to conduct itself in. You build it around him, and that's what we did. But by him leaving, it made us have to rethink our initiative and our basic form of what our club was going to be. So with that in mind, we brought in Frimpong. I understand Robbo has soured on some people, not myself, but some others out there. But Robbo, like all other players, we all get older. So Kerkez became the heir apparent and is now taking the part of playing top fiddle when it comes to the left side of our attack. Mo Salah got an extended contract. Virgil got a renewed contract as well. And now all of a sudden you take two very, very important components of our spine of our club and make them continue on with the legend and the history of what is the history that they're making with us. Now with all these placements reinforced, whether through contract or whether by bringing in fresh blood, we actually have something working. I get it. People are going to say the Gahey deal falling through at the last minute leaves a defensive gap. But outside of that, I don't think you could really fault any maneuver or move we made this window. This could be possibly the greatest Premier League transfer window of all time for a club, much less for our club. The only real question is how quickly all these players can gel. It'll take time. It'll take some crafty maneuvering by our coach to figure out how to get not only the best out of some of these players, but where to play some of these players properly to allow for that gel to meld. Because finding their feet's important. Liverpool are still picking up wins, and we're still picked as the favorites most likely. But what it gets down to is what will this team do with now the shedding of that underdog status being put onto our being taken away from our label, being absolutely taken away from our label. I do have a before I even continue on with the rest, I do have, let me see if I can find it. I do have something that was kind of interesting. Again, this is Anfield brought this chart up. But what was very interesting about this is that it shows the depth that we have at our club. Obviously, the black lettering and white highlighted names are who we would have as a backup or a substitute for the starters, the preferred starters. Question I asked before, but apparently it's difficult to get people to answer that question sometimes when it comes to just give me your starters. But Ali, Konate, Van Dijk, Frimpong, Kerkez, all expected to be our back line. You look at the back line as opposed to our depth, and it includes Bradley, Robbo, Gomez, Leone, and Marmardashvili. Now, I know some people might have issues with Gomez's checkered past when it comes to injuries. I know that some people also might find it difficult to put a lot of trust in such a young talent, young prospect in Leone. But I think you're going to have, you'll have a trial by fire or trip. I forget the term, but it's basically, you'll make the diamond. You're going to find you might be able to create a diamond from the turmoil and adversity, which is if you have to rely on bringing in Leone as an actual everyday or stopgap starter. Gomez, as long as healthy, I think Gomez is one of the better center halves in the league still, and I think something will make a difference when you get to see that yourself. I didn't see that, Edward, but that is funny, by the way. Bring up the comment by Edward. He's saying that he said 12th, did you see what Konate said? He said that Mbappe phones him every 2 hours to join Madrid and laughed about it. I would not put it past him to it might be a little bit of Konate over exaggerating it a bit, but but I would not put it past Mbappe in doing so because Mbappe recognizes that Konate is a talented player. Obviously, they play on the same national team. They probably have a good friendship bound from that. But also the fact of, they could use it. Let's be honest. Real Madrid is going to definitely be in the market for a center half. It's why I think right now the Saliba contract extension talks are heating up. I think honestly that's why they're heating up. Dustin says he wasn't upset so far, but he feels making a remark like that is disrespectful. I can understand exactly your stance on that, Dustin. Yeah, I can understand that completely. It's kind of like Mbappe. There's enough commingling and interference done by Real Madrid in general, but Mbappe adding to it isn't exactly helpful at all. Real quick to sum up this, so we can go back into the tier list. Some might not have McAllister starting. I would have McAllister starting as long as he's fit. No player is ever going to be 100% fit. We get that. But McAllister is a player that is talented enough to be a world-class player, in my humble opinion. We just haven't seen him fit this year, unfortunately. So far, we haven't seen him fit this year. And he's working his way back to fitness and form. And once he does get that fitness and form, I think people will understand why it's so important that McAllister is a part of the front starting lineup. Gravenberch, for some, might not be their top choice or might not be their ideal player in the DM. Some are advocating for us getting not only a player to possibly serve as a backup, but some are advocating for some players to possibly have the opportunity to be a starter in front of Gravenberch. I'm not one of those. Not one of those people. I think that Gravenberch is an excellent player. I've advocated for him playing this role. I finally get to see him play this role. I see him extend its way to an exceptional level where he gets the accolades and recognition from his peers. And now we now see a player that still has, at his young age, still has such a high ceiling to continue to grow into. Behind him and behind McAllister would be Curtis Jones and Endo being suitable role players, I think. Curtis Jones, say love him or hate him. I personally do appreciate and love Curtis Jones because I think that Curtis Jones is one of the definitions of what the Liverpool system is. He's been grown and raised in him, in it. So with Curtis Jones, you have a player that exceptional with his dribbling, one of the top passers in the league, and understands the culture and the makeup of what makes Liverpool, which is fantastic. And of course, he's a Scouser, so that's important as well. Endo, look at Endo's record, people. Endo has a phenomenal record with Liverpool when he plays in games. His start record is even better. I am not advocating for Endo to be a everyday starter by any means. But what I am saying is that having a player like Endo that can play center half, he can play right back, he can play obviously DM. He gives the quote unquote traditional six, whatever that's supposed to mean, whatever it is in your mind, I guess. He provides a destroyer in the sense of a six and provides defensive coverage for us, which is fantastic. So despite him not necessarily always being the number one option, he is an option to be able to hold down, maybe see out games, or even occasionally be a stopgap DM. Then you move to the 10. I've had this conversation with a couple that are willing to have some honest debates, and that is Wirtz and Dom. Now, I know some people might not have seen my episodes on Dom last year, even some of them during his time when he was somewhat, would say, I could honestly say was struggling a bit. But At the 10, Dominic Szoboszlai is a hard hat worker. If you understand my drift, I think he is a player that continues to push and continues to do the dirty work, whether it is providing extra coverage for Salah, so that he can kind of cherry pick a little bit for on his offensive role. He provides extra coverage in that midfield. He provides the physicality. He also provides defense. He provides the ability to be offensive minded if given the opportunity. He used to, at least when we had Trent Alexander-Arnold, provide coverage even for that portion of the field when Trent would invert or go further up than some might like. He was that player that could provide at least some type of coverage or be able to track back, have the ability to track back because of his speed, because of his just stamina and endurance. He was able to get back and do things that some might not be able to ascertain. Wirtz is a player that I think possibly might be better served playing on the left side, but we have him in the 10. As a 10, I still think that he is a phenomenal player. He's someone that's going to have to learn and adjust to not only the rigors of the Premier League, but also have to create something of the ability to press and counter press the way that we're expected to do on this team. Shout out, like Edward saying, to his goal today. And it was a very fine taken goal. It looked slightly similar to in the sense of him finding the left side of the net. It was slightly similar to his teammate Dom's, but it was a really good, really great, really good free kick and a really great opportunity for him to maybe jumpstart his campaign with us. And maybe even with Germany, because Germany needs help too right now. Let's be honest. Germany needs some serious help. They need to get their stuff together as well. The last to round off the rest of the list, Salah, Isak, Cody. There are some that think that Cody shouldn't start. If I were to put Wirtz out left, I would say Cody would be relegated to a backup role. However, you could even maybe say Ekitike could be moved out left, and I would say Cody would go to a backup role. But that's not saying that Cody's not a starter in himself. I do think that Cody has the ability to start. I think that Cody's an excellent left wing. I just think that it depends on what this coach wants to do with the squad when it comes to creating some opportunities for his offense to really click. Cody has already taken a really good start to this year. But for me, only reason why I'm putting that Wirtz on the left option out there is because I just would like to see possibly having two dynamically creative players to either side of Isak. And it doesn't hurt to have Wirtz in the 10 that's creative there. But also, if you were to have Dom as that 10, you would have someone to be able to do all that work, do all that extra work, that hard hat work style, like, lunch pail work, where it's not exactly you getting involved in a lot of the offense, but you doing a lot of the coverage and making the other portions of the machine work. And then backup, Nalante's in the green room. I'm going to bring Nalante in 2 seconds. Not literally, but I'll bring Nalante in just 1 minute. And backup on the wings, we have Chiesa and Rio. I think that Rio being a used player this year is phenomenal. It's a real testament of like the fact that this young player has an incredible future in front of him. I don't want to see him get overworked. I don't want to see him get, I wouldn't say rinsed, but not only overworked, but put into a position where, he might be overwhelmed, I would say, is a better word for it. Chiesa, we all know he's a veteran. He's a chiseled veteran at that. I think that him saying no to Team Italy, by the way, is huge. Is very, very, very big, because that means that he is devoted and committed to focusing on the club and getting his place solidified with us. Fantastic. I don't know how often we'll see him on the right, which is what this is suggesting, but he is a player that could play out on the right. And if anything, I'm thinking that January window, if this does remain the current current form of our squad, when we get to January and Salah does make that move for AFCON, maybe Chiesa utilizes that time to really, really put his skills on display as a full-time starter during his hiatus. Finally, Ekitike, I think it's a shame what's happening to Ekitike, because most likely, no matter what, once Isak is ready, fit, and in form, he starts, despite the fact that Ekitike is in form currently. So that's just unfortunate. I would love to figure out a way to get both Ekitike and Isak in the game together, but that's, again, for the coach to find out. You have some other notables on the bench. Woodman, who's the backup goalkeeper, third backup goalkeeper. Trey Neone, who before the whole Rio talk, Trey was the talk. Very excited to see what his future holds. Bashetic, the player that's going through growth spurts and the likes, I'd love to see him get his form back, get his opportunities back. I think Bashetic, we all know, did have great opportunities under Klopp, and he showed that he was very, very adept and capable of playing. And then you have Danz. Danz is a player that everyone likes. He just got to get through his back injuries, and maybe we can say something happened. I think, though, we will possibly see Danz go out on a loan at some point still. I'm going to bring in Nalante into the conversation. And Nalante, how are you doing today? Let me make sure that that the audience knows that you are joining us. So, again, we have Nalante with us. There you go.
Okay, thank you. More of that, please. Bring on, one more.
You know, our audience is one of the best audiences around. Number one,
Indeed.
always.
Indeed.
No, we had to definitely make sure that they understood that we have a great guest, co-host, in Nalante joining us. So big up.
Big up 12. Big up the panel, the chat.
I put together this list, and I was just I did a little bit of a deeper dive on our team, obviously, since this is a Liverpool, focused channel. But I had Liverpool. I have 6 tiers, and obviously it's A, B, C, D, E, F. You can do the obvious conjecture as to what those levels mean, or what those letters stand for, as in with them being top to bottom. I had Liverpool as an A-list transfer window. Are you in agreement with that, or would you put them in another tier?
Yeah. I guess it's an A. Yeah, I
I hear you.
Yeah. I guess, you could grade the A. Yeah, got no problem with the A.
Okay. Would you say? I'll ask you this: is this just on paper? I understand they still got to go out there and make things work.
Of course.
But on paper, is this truly the greatest transfer window in Anfield history, if not in Premier League history?
Anfield history, yes. I don't think there's been a better since in Anfield history. Yeah, maybe you could say, again, for the older viewers, 87, 88. 87 we bought Barnsley, Barnes, Beardsley, etc. Come on, but this is the next level. But again, obviously, some youngsters wouldn't remember. So it's up there. But history, yeah, probably it's the best. Yeah, it's up there. Premiership. You could say, people say the signing of Gay, he might have completed it. Yeah, maybe so. But I think definitely you would say it's top three. Top three.
Oh.
Yeah, of all time transfer window by in terms of the players. Yeah, definitely.
I'll put an actual put this audience poll actually in here too. Here's a question, and you can answer this question too, Mlante.
Hmm.
We had the big acquisition of Isak. He's still got to work his way into the lineup. Do you think Isak will score over 20 goals this season?
Oh, and this is all comps, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have to say
I was
yes.
just going to say, I was going to say in the Premier League actually.
Okay.
All
The thing
comps, I
is,
think I think he'll score.
yeah, 20
I think
about
that's a
20.
given.
Oh, yeah. You know what? He's gonna take time. We discussed this on the show the other day. Check it out, guys. Wednesday's edition. Just gone. But yeah, it's gonna take him time, like, because he hasn't played. This is the thing. And he needs to get up to some fitness, but we'll see. It- hmm. If he, you know what? I'm just gonna say yes. Yeah, I'm just gonna say yes. But it's gonna be tight, but only because of
Okay.
what's all happened in the last month. No preseason training, nothing. Going to Sweden. It's gonna take time to build up, but I'm gonna go yes. I'm gonna go yes. It's gonna be tight in the league,
Okay.
Premier League. I mean, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Big up,
Okay.
Dara. Hope you're well, and everyone in the chat.
Absolutely. Big up Dara. Big up Adam, by the way. Um, so you're going to say yes, 20 plus.
Yeah. I'll give it. Yeah, I'll
Dara
give it a
joined
yes.
yesterday. Dara knew I was dropping an audience poll, so that's probably why he tuned in. He loves audience polls so much.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I have Liverpool as it has on here S tier, it means supreme tier, but
Hmm.
A tier as well.
Yeah.
I think the squad has been rebuilt, whether you're talking about our fullbacks. We have two new fullbacks. Plus, we already had a right fullback that could have and could be, or some think should be, or possibly could be, our starter in Bradley. He's got to remain healthy. That's his biggest issue. But Frimpong, excellent addition. Kerkez, excellent addition. Grizzled veteran in Robbo holding it down on the left side as well. Marmondashvili as a number 2 when it comes to our keeper. When you look at going forward, we have some excellent signings in Ekitike and obviously Isak. We've just completely revamped and restocked our strikers. I think it's a good time to be a Red. Very good time to be a Red. What then is who I say what or who then is going to be joining them in the A squad, in that A list? And unfortunately, I do not have anyone in that tier. Now I know that might sound biased, but it's not. I think that there are some that are exceptionally close to being in that tier, if not borderline in that A tier. These are the clubs that pushed really hard to get into that tier, but added real quality in our position for, I'd say, top 4, if not contending for the title. And first on that list, I had, let me bring back the tier actually. First on that list, I had Arsenal. And this will be
Okay.
in order, by the way. So, like, Arsenal's my number 2 team in the tier. Um, Arsenal finally went big for a striker. They got Victor Gyökeres. They added Eze. They got Maduke. They got Zubamendi. They got Masquera. This is the Arsenal version of now or never. Basically, it seems like their squad under Arteta has really not blossomed into anything but a community shield team. Some will say, "Oh, what about the FA Cup team?" The FA Cup team is not anywhere near what this current squad of Arsenal looks like today. So the depth is certainly a very, very formidable thing. The ambition is obvious. I have. Would you have number 2 at Arsenal as your number 2, Malante?
Yeah, yeah, probably.
This is again
Yeah,
top. We'll
top.
go into
Yeah,
we'll get into it at the end.
yeah. I guess. Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably so. Yeah, I'll go with Arsenal. The only other team I was kind of thinking was potentially Forest.
Oh, okay. You have Forest that high up.
Yeah, they made some good signings, in my opinion. Very good signings. Bolstering the squad.
Oh, okay. Um, I do have them in there, but I don't have them that high. I had Arsenal pretty high up there, but I don't have them that high.
Okay.
I'm gonna say this with. I know some people might look wildly on this one, and probably because this is a team that often gets a lot of flack, I guess you could say, for being underachievers. Okay, but I have my number 3 team being, whoops.
Okay. Spurs, yeah. Okay.
Spurs.
Okay.
Yeah, I have them being my number 3 in this window. I think they've done extremely well. I get that they lost out on the deal for Eze. I understand that. I understand it completely. But following up, obviously Europa League glory with bringing in Kudus, bringing in Javi Simons, bringing in Kevin Danzo, bringing in Mateus Tell was last season technically, but now he's permanent, right?
Yes, I'm permanent.
And then also bringing in Paulinho on loan. I think that is pretty impressive. Son leaving is emotional. I get that, but Thomas Frank now has a flexible, young, dynamic group. I think that is what was the key to bringing in a new era for Spurs under a new coach, trying to move positively into the future. They've gotten rid of their chairman as well, So I mean, they're trying to make some positive moves, and I think that Spurs that you might see. I'm not saying that they're going to contend. This has nothing to do with where I think they're going to end up in the league. But I definitely think that in the sense of this isn't saying that Spurs are going to be, third place this year. But I definitely think that they're going to contend for top 4, and I think that they're going to do well this year. In 4th place, I have. All right, let's see if I can find them. I have Chelsea.
Oh,
I have. Yeah. Let's not
yeah,
go. Let's not get crazy. Come on.
yeah.
This, is,
Some
this isn't that
people.
kind of show. This isn't that kind of show.
Okay,
But yeah,
let's do.
I have
Mm.
Chelsea as fourth, being in because say what you will about Chelsea, they have chaos. They churn and burn money like it's going out of style. But João Pedro already looks sharp, and that was a very very smart decision to bring in the player as their striker. They gave up on the Nicholas Jackson experiment and are going with a player that I think is a very talented player in João Pedro. Garnacho gives them edge to their attack. I don't particularly like Garnacho as a player, or but maybe that's just because he's a former Manchester United um, Red Devil, but still, he's a good player. I know, and Jamie Gittins adds some unpredictability. You have Estavio Villan, the young player from Brazil, who's possibly going to be a future superstar. The clear noise is obvious, and you can see some real quality. So that's why I have them fourth. I think the difference between these three squads that I put in the B and the difference between Liverpool, I think it's going to be execution. I think Arsenal and Spurs have targeted specific needs. Chelsea bought talent, but it was like I think Chelsea bought talent, but they didn't necessarily say, okay, we're gonna like specifically go for talent in needs of our team. It was more like, oh, he's good, let's go for him. Oh, he's good, let's go for him. You know, um, but all three are upgrades in a way that could transform their season. I don't think that's up for debate. Um, who do you think had more of a balanced summer this window? Would you say Arsenal with their depth, or would you say Spurs with their dynamism? You know, bringing in Kudus and the likes.
Yeah, there's one person I think we got 12 out of the Spurs signing note last day, Kolo Monari. Monari, that's a very good signing to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
online, striker. I mean, obviously he's better than Richarlison, and for me, he's better than Solanke, even though he's injured. So
Oh yeah.
he's a little, yeah, a little bit of an upgrade, which really helps their cause. Chelsea have just done Chelsea things with the signings. But despite João Pedro, to be fair, he's made a great start. I think there's still certain things they need Chelsea, but the keeping. So I think you're right to put Spurs above them. So yeah, Spurs are decent, but I guess you have to say Arsenal. They've as we've got a squad, they've rampacked their squad as well completely. So this squad is really everyone
Okay.
talks about us, but their squad has been solidified by their signings. So really, everyone's mentioned about us, but Arsenal they've got no excuses as well. Because before last
Mm-hmm.
season, they were crying. Oh, Saka's injured. Oh, boo-hoo, we missed. Oh, Odegaard's not playing well. So
Mm-hmm.
I think you've got it right in terms of order, but you'd put Chelsea ahead of City, yeah.
I did put Chelsea over City. Yes,
Okay.
I did put Chelsea over City. Um, I'm looking at what the question Dara is asking.
Hmm.
What barometer do I measure successful transfer window? I think I'm primarily with what I'm gauging my assessments from aren't just it's not solely on big name signings, um, but also how those signings will improve a team or maybe answer certain questions or needs that a team might have. That's why I mentioned the fact of Chelsea buying a lot of players or buying some really good players, but not necessarily having a focused transfer strategy with their purchases. You know, Villian Estavio, right? Estavio Willian.
Yeah, really makes that. Yeah, it's that. Yeah.
He's a talent. He's a definite talent. But how many forwards, how many wingers does Chelsea have?
Mm.
I remember a while back we were talking about, or I was bringing up Modric, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how he's a player basically that is still one of the top 10 most expensive acquisitions in Premier League history. And he's a player that might not even see the pitch, really, when you look at some of these other players that they have involved, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were so dissatisfied with his performance or play that they even went out and looked to add Sancho at one point, you know. So it says to me like, great, you can keep getting like player after player after player after player, but if you're properly assessing your areas of needs that you have to take care of, then that's super important. That's super important. And if the quality that you're bringing in is exceptional and is or even superior talent, then that's something that is a determinant in where I put the placing. All right, so we've gotten to the C squad, right? Because these are the big climbers. I'm saying they're ambitious, they have clear identity, but they are just maybe short of getting into that elite B or A tier. You're gonna be maybe a little surprised at who I have in number 5. I'm certain that some might want to hold me to account, but I have Sunderland. I think Sunderland's made
Okay.
some really good. I think they've made some really, really good. I mean, this is where we put the overachievers, maybe like the ones who weren't expected to flex, but did basically. Sunderland's newly promoted, but they went pretty nuts or pretty ham in the transfer window. They brought in Habib Diarra, excuse me. They brought in Brian Brobby. They brought in Adingra. They brought back Xhaka to the Premier League. They brought in Gertruda. They brought in Mukele. I think that's how you pronounce his name, hopefully. Look, the Champions League level recruitment for a club fresh out of the championship is pretty exceptional. I know survival is always important for those newly promoted teams. Absolutely. But this team, I'm not saying this team is going to complete for top 4. But what I am saying is survival looks even more so assured with these kinds of acquisitions and their commitment to getting players that can make that assurance reality. And I even say that they could end up mid-table. I'm not saying they're gonna. I just don't think that they're gonna be sitting by relegation. I could be wrong, but I just think that they're gonna maybe even get into mid-table. You don't like
Okay.
that choice of Sunderland?
It's difficult. They made some. I'll put them down one, but fair enough. We'll keep them at C. You keep them at C.
They've made some really big acquisitions, considering that they're a championship promoted team.
Yeah, I think they have to due to the influx of the chairman and the Premier League money. So some of them again we'll see. Question marks on them, but again it's like everything we'll see. We'll see how they do.
Mhm. I know some people are itching to get that. I mean, we've got some real Magpie lovers in the house. Dara and Bonkers pushing for Newcastle. Pushing for Newcastle. There's no. I'll explain why I think Newcastle have had a better window, considering because you got to consider where and what Sunderland was. Like the acquisitions that Newcastle made, the obvious. I'll get into it once we get to Newcastle. You'll see where I put Newcastle. All right, and you can hold me. You can hold me to whatever you want to hold me to on that one. All right, but but I don't know. We don't have a Scouts in the house today,
No.
but shout out to his pops because I have at number 6 Everton.
Okay.
A slow start. I get it. But look, they finished strong last year. I think that Dewsbury Hall, Dibbling, Barry being added to the team are fantastic. And then obviously Jack Grealish being not only brought in on loan, but Grealish alone gives them creativity that they've lacked for years. For years. I think maybe it reminds me of what they were hoping to get out of Jaime Rodriguez. And they occasionally did if he was when he was fit. But I thought this was smart late business for them to bring in not only a player that can create that creativity, but could possibly use this as a rebirth to his career. Look, he was starting to very well just be an afterthought at City, and I think that not only was he, you know, he's being anchored by that huge transfer price that had been put on his head. That was always going to follow him around while at City. I think this is an opportunity for him to not only be. This is an opportunity for him to have that kind of special relationship with the fans and the team, the club, and the likes, the way he did at Villa. And that's why I see. And the things. And again, for those that are really loving Newcastle, just give me a second. I'll get there. Okay, I will get to Newcastle. All right. So we're at number 7, and at number 7, I have Nottingham Forest.
Okay.
I think all the Hutchison, McAtee, Calimundo, and Doyo, all excellent moves. Douglas Luiz was on loan is a positive power move as well. They invested nearly £180 million. Their owner is definitely looking to make some serious business. And maybe even I'm giving them a little bit extra credit for the Soprano style power move that they used to keep Morgan Gibbs White. After years of just basically scattergun, which is what I did say for Chelsea, but after years of scattergun mentality when it came to transfers for Forest, this window actually felt like a structured window. It looks like they actually had some real. Maybe that's because of Edu being a part of the engineering of what they're going to do with the vision of what they're going to do with their transfers. But it actually seemed like it was structured this time, and this is how I saw it. So These are the clubs punching above their weight, maybe not challenging for titles, but definitely climbing. Again, this doesn't constitute where they're going to end up at the end of the year. This is just a matter of me evaluating what I believed was their window. If you were to look at, this is just for the C level, C tier, basically. Which C tier team has the best shot of finishing in the top half, do you think? Sunderland, Everton, or Forest? Who do you think has the best? You might think that all three of them have a chance of finishing in the top half, maybe. But which do you think has the best?
So I'll stick with Forest. Yeah, I think they make good signs. Everton have actually to an extent. Jack Grealish could be an X factor, but they could potentially finish top half, to be fair, but I'll go with Forest.
You go Forest, okay. Well, let me ask you now a question about the two teams you didn't pick. Who do you think is going to have a bigger impact? Or who would you could say? I was going to say who would you rather have, but I don't think either of these team players would I rather have on Liverpool at least. So I'll say, who do you think have a bigger impact? Grealish at Everton or Xhaka at Sunderland?
Oh, that's an easy one for me, Grealish.
Okay.
Definitely. I think from what I've seen from Grealish, again, different horses for courses, he's got the freedom back.
Mm-hmm.
As he had at Aston Villa when he was linked to fast, he's playing off the cuff.
Yeah,
and and he's worked with Pep, but Pep's more structured, and it's helped. So, but yeah, you can see the freedom back in his game, and that'll make him a very dangerous player. He keeps his head right. So yeah, I'll do Grealish easy by a mile. Xhaka is a good signing for Sunderland. He came out of the blue, good experience and combative, so that'll be good. But Grealish by a mile for me.
Okay. All right, we're getting close to getting some. Hopefully, some of the Newcastle lovers out there are going to be sticking with us because we're getting close to seeing. Maybe you're probably hanging on just to see where I rate your maybe your side chick club or something. But just joking, totally just joking. But this is the tricky one. This is the tricky one. This is the D tier. They're neither disasters nor home runs, I would say. Maybe like a solid double if you're a baseball fan out there. Maybe even a triple if you're looking at that. Didn't get all the way home, but definitely were they had hits, but not necessarily in the upper tier of this tier list. I had so we're at number 8. Whoops. It hurts to say this. It definitely hurts to say this. But I have Manchester United at number 8. I know. But Manchester United, I think them finally giving up on Højlund and going with Sesko as being their investment in the future is, give or take, maybe, it's a 50-50 coin toss for some. Some are bullish on Sesko, some are more bear market when it comes to Sesko. But Cunha and Mbeumo not only cost heavy money, but they are certainly high tier players. They are definitely some very, very good investments and players that possibly could create offense for a team that needs offense. They did well to clear deadwood in Rashford. They got rid of Garnacho, obviously. They got rid of Antony. All very, very high-priced transfers from before. But the midfield to me still looks a little bit thin. Maybe that's why they were in the, rumored talks of trying to bring in Baleba. I still think their midfield is kind of overworked and possibly playing players out of position. But it's progress, but it's, I think, uneven progress. At what is that, 6, 7, 8? We're at number 9. At number 9, I have Manchester City. Manchester City. Look, I think Reinders is a class player, class act when it comes to his talent on the pitch. I think Cherky is electric. He's certainly a player that can wow you by his talents. Donnarumma being brought in, I think, is a power move. You might not like Donnarumma. You might not rate him as highly as some, but Donnarumma is certainly a shot stopper. Now, what's going to be interesting is how does Donnarumma fit into Pep's system, considering Donnarumma is not a sweeper keeper. But being that he is a good shot stopper, maybe it balances out. That's the big question mark. Because losing KDB in the middle will hurt. We've seen Rodri back so far, but I kept emphasizing, I think a lot of people have emphasized the same points. Rodri being back is fantastic for City fans, but Rodri still has to make the adjustment to getting back from a serious knee injury. It's something that we saw with Virgil van Dijk. It's not like he's going to hit the ground running. He still has to work his way back to the superior form that he used to be. It's a younger squad, but the question is it better? As of late, we're only 3 games into the season. I'm not going to make any super assessments of their team until we really get into probably game 10 or something like that, maybe game 12. But I would say that it's not looking as such. So I would have to say that my number 10 team is the team that apparently some people can't get enough of. And that is Newcastle. This soundtrack, this soundboard is gonna get me in trouble.
Oh no! Don't worry, man. True, Jody, turn away right now.
Yeah. Look, for those that think Newcastle had a stronger window than they did, that's why we're here to debate and talk and discuss. Your opinion is that they had a top 4 or top 5 window. That is fantastic on you. I would say, I just think that losing your talisman striker to not only in their mind a direct rival, in our mind not a direct rival, is brutal. I would even go as far as to say that the way that it transpired took away points for me in the way that it transpired, from the fact that the treatment of the player, the way that it played out in the press, the way that it continued to maybe make underline the fact that Newcastle had. You can say all you like about how Newcastle, they had a top 4 summer. Newcastle had 9 players tell them, I'm all good. That is not a top caliber summer. Now, albeit you will go through players, you will have players or teams that go out for players and they don't get their man. I spoke about Spurs. You know, I mean, Spurs are very high on my list. Spurs went for Eze. They had him pretty much signed and sealed, and they ended up losing out to Arsenal. But the difference in that is Newcastle didn't have anyone signed and sealed. Newcastle was saying, "Oh, I'll go for this player." Nope. Oh, Liverpool, you think you can get Ekitike? We'll go for him. Nope. And they couldn't even hold on to their own Tallis, who forced his way out. That's why I had to take away points from Newcastle's summer. This summer, despite what you're saying, is not a summer to remember for Newcastle. Walter Made is a talented player. Sorry. I guess Newcastle's blowing up my phone right now. But Walter Made is a talented player. One for the future, possibly. Certainly one for the future for Germany, most likely. But it's putting in a lot of faith into the player. Visa, Premier League proven, certainly a talented player. He is a little bit he's on the other side of the age spectrum when it comes to bringing in players. Let's be honest. Elanga's a good pickup. Ramsey, Diao, all good players. But to me, this team feels a little bit less scary than they did from last season. And I will say that solely from the fact that they don't have their bona fide killer at the point. Do you see their record with you have to take a look at their record with Isak in it and Isak not in the lineup. It is immensely night and day. We watched this team for the last 3 games. I understand it's only 3 games, but we watched this team struggle to score. And now they're putting a lot of faith in players of Walter Manning and Visa. They got a lot of money from us. I know that was thrown out there too. Or they made 125 million off of they made 125 million off of the Isak deal. You know what they turned that 125 million into? Visa and Walter Made. That's 120 million. So they have a £5 million. They have a £5 million buffer when it comes to that of what they netted. So look, these clubs aren't losers by any means, but they're not exactly winners either. I'm just saying. I just think that maybe some might see him as being incomplete or not. You might see him as being top tier. You might disagree completely. But yeah. And I know that you might even say, I never said that Newcastle was our rivals. I said Newcastle might look at us as being their rival or one of their rivals. They're not. But the way that they speak on us, it would sound as though we are their rival. And say I'm not being honest on that one. But I mean, like, look, everyone's worthy of having their opinions. I don't think you can easily argue the opposite, as Dara is putting it. I think Dara's missing the point of what I think, tried to bring out. I'm not going to get too riled up about that because sometimes I'm getting a little bit too testy on hearing points that don't make any much sense to me. But I would say that these are the choices I've had. This is the top 10 that I have. You might have them in different spots, and you're more than welcome to put that in the comment section. I hope you do put that in the comment section. Be nice toward each other. Be nice towards me, and be certainly nice towards my co-host Nalante as well, who didn't have any input of how this list is dropping out for us. He's just observing and commenting on the way. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Bonkers and Dara you guys do really, really love Newcastle, by the way. Oh my gosh. You guys love Newcastle. We'll see. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe Newcastle will contend for, I guess you guys must have them contending for top 4. Maybe they will. We'll see. We'll see after a little time. I know they're sitting 2 points, but we'll see. We'll see if whether they step it up and move forward. But for right now, Newcastle is got a lot of work to make up. And other than I'll admit that I think they had one really good goal against us. The goal that Bruno scored on we shouldn't have conceded that goal. But the other goal was just us getting unfortunately defensively lax on our things, And for all the saying about their scoring, they also got beat by a 16-year-old. So how about that? All right, I might be getting a little bit trivial with it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know. I guess Dara is missing the point of what it is in here, and he's trying to stir the pot. He's getting under my skin a little bit. I'll let it go.
Easy. Then what we need to do, we need to get Dara on so you can both see your point of view.
And I'll let it go. I try to explain to Dara what Dara wants to understand is on him. All right. Segment D or segment E is basically these teams have done if they do better Newcastle, will you admit it? I don't know what you meant. I don't know what that sentence means. If they do better Newcastle, if who does better than Newcastle?
I'm guessing Bonkers meaning Bonkers correct himself. Maybe in terms of putting them in D, if they do well, to upgrading them possibly in the transfer list, maybe. But again, we don't. I think he means that that's what I'm assuming. I'm sure, but again, that's for end of the season-ish.
The thing about it is that's why I was trying to explain to Dara. And maybe I need to explain to Bonkers also. Most people probably would have Sunderland being relegated. Am I right or wrong about that, Nalante?
Yeah, that's probably so. Yeah, near enough. More, there'll be a few
that's going to either be relegated or very close to being relegated. Mm-hmm. I believe that these are predictions. These are just assessments.
Yeah, predictions.
Of the window and loose predictions of where they might perform throughout the entire year because of these transfers that I'm talking about. I honestly do think that Sunderland made a concerted effort to not have to worry about trying to compete against being relegated. They might be a team that is maybe not top mid table, but certainly not 18th, 19th, 17th. Maybe they end up being like 14th or something like that, but it's still mid table. But I think that Sunderland is a team that has immensely improved their standings. Okay. there's no assurance, and I will say this again, there is no assurance that Newcastle make Champions League next year. I don't even think they'll make Champions League possibly next year. I could be wrong. That's why it's called predictions. But again, I can look at the table, I can look at the business that's been done, the status of where their teams are left with the players they have on paper. Okay, again, on paper. And I would say that there are stronger candidates to end up in the top 4 than Newcastle. I am not saying that Manchester United have a better chance at top 4 than Newcastle. And Dara, once again, I'm answering Bonker's question. Okay. So obviously someone did say that. Okay. So my point is Newcastle, I honestly do think, did not have a summer to remember. They were one of the most talked about clubs for the most negative reasons. And if you don't understand that point, that's you not trying to understand or trying to contend that the press that they had was not good press. Every headline was about Newcastle and Isak and the problems from within the club. Every content creator for Newcastle, for the most part, was either whining and crying about how they can't do what Manchester City has done in the past and how they're restricted by PSR reasons. And they're finding out the reality of where they do sit, which is not as a top tier club. And unfortunately for them, they're finding the harsh reality of it. They're finding players that want to leave their club because they understand that their club is not going to be going for the trophies that other clubs like our own will be doing. If Newcastle had such a great, not only transfer window, but great program, then wouldn't Isak have decided to say, I'm going to stick with it? If they had such a great window and program, wouldn't Newcastle probably have not struck out 9 times trying to find replacements for players? Think about that. If I was telling you that Liverpool went for 9 different players and did not get any of them, would you be saying Liverpool had a great summer? I don't believe so. And that's what I'm trying to say with the honesty of it all. I don't believe you would actually say that. You might have some high hopes. You might be saying, oh, well done. They got a lot of money out of Liverpool. They brought in 2 decent players. One could be looked at as a stopgap, maybe, or maybe it's looked at as if you think Visa is a real option to be your sole striker or something like that, then fine. But I'm honestly asking if, and this is to you, Nolante, much less now for my addressing some of the audience.
Yeah.
If I told you that Liverpool went out for 8 different targets for striker, 9 if you're going to include center half, because they went for Leone too, by the way, and lost out to us in Leone. If you're trying to gauge someone's transfer window, and you told me that your top 9 targets that you had on your list, you got none of them, because Walter Matty wasn't on their, oh, we've got to go and get this player list. Sesko was. Ekitike was. And they all said no. So if I would have told you that Liverpool missed out on 8 targets for our striker role, would you say it's been a good window?
Not really. It's a poor one. No, not really. No. If we miss that 8, then yeah, it's a poor window. Unless we get a player that's suitable for the team, is good enough. But yeah, I mean, most times you say it was a poor one.
Just being honest, exactly. You would not say it's been a good window. If your club became the brunt of jokes about how you've gone out and tried to get this player, oh, we're getting this player, and every time you hear the "here we go," it's not about your team. You would say it's not a top tier window. It's not a top 3 tier window as I have up there. I did not say that their window was putrid to the point where they didn't scramble and try to like get something to suffice the fact that they'd missed out on all of those options.
Yeah. No, it's true. But to be fair, I mean,
Walter Mandy is not number 1, wasn't number 2, wasn't number 3, wasn't number 4, wasn't number 5. You get what I'm going with?
no, I get I get it. But yeah, I get it. I mean, again, it's no, you're true. You're right, 12. But at the same time, it could have been looked at. I mean, again, the other day that they thought for Tamadi, probably again from what we're hearing now, they were interested in him. It's just the fact that they thought going to Bayern was a done deal, and sometimes it can happen, you know.
Yeah.
And obviously, Bayern didn't. Well, Stuttgart didn't want to sell him, and when they knew he was available, they swooped him. So possibly we could say, as much as they rejected by Pedro Delap, if Watermardi was in available earlier, then maybe they would have just swooped him. And some of the names probably, well, I think Hugo they probably would have won, but some of the other names that rejected they probably would have gone in. But it's all oranges and apples, really, to be honest.
Walter Mardi was technically available earlier,
but not to Newcastle though.
Well, not maybe Newcastle, maybe not.
Yeah,
but I'm trying to say Bayern Munich did try to go for him.
No, they did. No, again, the Bayern thing was the key, isn't it? Because he was been negotiating for Bayern for long, so they thought it was a done deal, which is understandable because Bayern is Bayern, isn't it? And it's pretend Stuttgart, but of course, wants the opportunity. So it depends how you look at it. You know, I'm sure if Fotomadi was available, then some of the teams, which again, Delaps and Pedro's were rejected, then they probably wouldn't have gone that direction, probably. But what's done is done anyway. They've sold Isak. They've got 125 million. They've got Fotomadi, question mark, prospect. I think he's done an assist tonight. And we say he's a good backup Premier League striker. So, as much as
I think he's a good player. I think Walter Mardi is a good player from what I've seen.
He's all right. Yeah, from what I've seen, but again, he potentially against like Hugo, potentially. See, Hugo's got a little bit more than him, but again, the jury's still out. He could be.
Absolutely.
He could be. Yeah. But Wirtz is a good signing for him, for Newcastle, definitely.
Also, if you were the sporting director of a team, and geez, time is flying. I'm gonna have to definitely cut this segment short and get back to the tier.
Cool.
But if you were the sporting director of a club, and you had the Isak situation going on, you get 125 million. You get a record-breaking amount of money for your club. And with that 125 million, what would you have done with it? Would you have done what they did? Do you think that was sufficient enough with the 125? Because basically they paid 65 million for Walter Made. They paid 55 million, I think, for Visa, right? That's 100 million.
Yeah.
I've repeatedly equated this to the point of saying we got 130, 140, 142 million or something like that. Some depends on what book you're looking at, but let's say 142 million, all right, for Coutinho. What do we do for 142 million? We brought in possibly the one, I think personally, the greatest Premier League center half in the history of the Premier League.
Yeah,
And then we
agreed to
brought
you.
in possibly one of the, if not also a contender for one of the greatest goalkeepers in Premier League history. Are you going to say the same about Visa and Walter Mate? Walter Mate's got a young enough career that maybe he does do some great things. He establishes himself as storybook levels. Maybe. I'm not saying he can't, and I'm not saying he won't. But that's why, again, for people who are talking about, well, they made 125 million. Yeah, and they made 125 million, took hand to fist, basically said, thank you, put their hand out like this, said thank you, one like that, and then went over and just dropped it into Walter Mate and Visa. I don't think that is, if they'd taken 125 million and gotten their top choice, like a Ekitike, they dropped 80 million on Ekitike and then maybe, I don't know, 45 million on Visa, maybe we're having a different conversation. But that's not the case. They're putting a lot of pressure and a lot of backing into what they're going to get out of those two players. And I don't know if it's going to necessarily surmount into what a lot of people think or what some people think. I'm going to put a lot because I don't know. There's no percentage of people that I think this or that way.
Yeah, well, we just have to wait and see. Like all these transfers, so all the accounts, as hence we're doing this. Some have got a proven track record, some not, but
Some
it just
don't.
doesn't guarantee. Yeah, nothing is guaranteed. We just have to wait and see.
Yeah, we do, and we
Yeah.
will. We will.
Yeah.
We will. And something that I spoke on earlier, for those saying about, will I say I got it wrong or got it right? Yeah, I'll say I got it wrong. I just spoke about that. I just went on a diatribe yesterday about people that say this or say that, and then they pretend like you didn't say it. Look, you're gonna have a video of me saying it, so I'll have to sit there and own it. The question is, will you apologize? Or will you acknowledge? Not calling out anyone in the chat. I'm just saying in general, by the way, because it is just conversations. Oh man, someone might say I woke up on the wrong side of bed today, but but all right, all right. Let's get into this because we're already 90 minutes in. Let's get into the E tier, which is obviously getting close to the failing tier for the transfer window. Now these clubs left some major gaps, maybe something that they needed to do, but they didn't get done. I have oops, that's Crystal Palace, my fault. I have Brighton in this spot right here because I believe Brighton cashed in again on João Pedro to Chelsea. That was fantastic. They got money. Ferguson out loaned out. Fantastic. Smart incomings like De Kuiper and Costalus.
Yeah, because the striker, the young Greek striker. Yeah.
But it's going to be a real question of who's going to replace those João Pedro goals or the offense that he created. Obviously, they've given up on Ferguson as being someone that they can rely on. He did have some injury issues and problems trying to remain fit. But it is a real question. It is a real question as to what is going to be Brighton's future. A team that was pushing for Europe last year, trying to really push for Europe. Look, their CEO or their chairman is a brilliant negotiator, a brilliant person when it comes to bringing money into their team. But unfortunately for Brighton, it never amounts to them going to that next level, which, considering the talent and the talent they've had in the talent they've developed in their club, should possibly make that so. Next on my list is Leeds.
Oh, Leeds. Okay. Leeds.
Yeah. Leeds had 10 signings, including Okafor and Statch, Longstaff, Behold, Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah.
That's, plenty of bodies, but still toothless in the attack a little bit, because Calvert-Lewin is either a hit or a miss for some people. But I think Leeds is going to do something this year. I bet on Leeds, not physically, but I bet on Leeds a couple of years ago when they were in the league, thinking that they were going to make this real big push before. They've got a incredible history behind them. They're a historic club when it comes to English football, but again, I think they could have done maybe a little bit more with despite the 10 signings. They possibly could have done a little bit more of quality, bringing a little bit more better quality towards their attack than they did. But I have Leeds in that spot. So where are we at? 3, 6, 9, 12. So we're at 13. All right. Just making sure. In the 13th spot, I have Burnley. Massive rebuild. Broha, Walker, Edwards, a lot of good players. Some of it's clever, some of it seemed desperate. Burnley doesn't want to find themselves, the odd man out again this summer, from the odd man out at the end of this year. They saw themselves be promoted under company, and then they got relegated under company. But now under Scott Parker, I believe, right? Is their manager, I believe.
Yeah, Scott Parker. Yeah, he's Burnley's manager.
They're going to be looking to, really make a strong push. I don't necessarily know if Burnley. I think Burnley might find themselves in relegation again, to be honest with you. But that's not this show. I'm just talking on the actual. I'm just talking on the actual transfer windows. Last but not least in this tier, I have Bournemouth. I think Bournemouth lost a lot to their team. Yeah, I look at it. They lost Kerkez. They lost their Ukrainian defender, Zarbini, right? Zarbarny.
Yeah.
Poison. That's basically a good shell of the backbone of their defense. They reinvested well enough at least to not be in the bottom tiers. They got Van Doak, who I rate. They got Petrovic. They got Adley. They got Truffert. Excuse me. They got another player too, and I'm drawing a blank on who the other player they got. The Ekitike, I think his name is, right. The
Ekitike, yeah. I think it's Ivory Coast, yeah. Defender, yeah. The Ekitike.
I wouldn't, from the quality that they lost to the quality that they brought in. I'm not saying that the quality they brought in was poor, but it wasn't to the level of what they lost. We can all agree on that, I think. I think these clubs will stay afloat, but they didn't really push forward. They'll tread water. I think Bournemouth will be a team that Bournemouth's got a really good coach, though. So Bournemouth could certainly avoid relegation simply under that pretense. Um, which out of those four teams, which team do you think is the most in danger of being dragged into relegation in Latte?
Okay, so you're talking about the teams in here, yeah?
Mhm.
Um, just, just Burnley, really. I don't think Brighton will be fine. Bournemouth, I don't think they'll be dragged. I think they'll be okay, Bournemouth as well. So I just think just Burnley. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, Burnley and yeah, Leeds, I guess to an extent, but more Burnley for me.
Okay. Um, who do you think was who do you think had the bigger downgrade in player? Would you say it'd be Brighton losing Pedro, or would you say it'd be Bournemouth losing Hoyson, or maybe even Kerkez, or maybe even
Uh,
Sir
so
Barnes?
yeah, I think Bournemouth because they had quite a hit to a successful team, and three at the back four doesn't help. So
Okay.
Pedro, yeah, but they still got the striker. They still got Danny Welbeck being a revelation, perfection striker. So I think Brighton will be fine, you know. So
Okay.
yeah, more Bournemouth. Although they've been doing the you know,
Okay.
yeah.
Um, all right. Well, finally, let's get into what some attest as being the losers in the summer window. It's obviously going to be this group that is left at the bottom of the list here, but where they rank, we shall see. Um, it was tough to figure out which team should go 4, 7, 10. Was that 15th place here? Or 14th place? It was tough to figure out which one I wanted to put in over top of it because, like, I thought both of these teams had poor windows in the sense of some of the placements that they did, but I picked Villa in this
Okay.
spot. I think that their Villa's already gotten in trouble with the Premier League and now with UEFA, making sure that they have to deal with the cost cuttings mechanisms to stay PSR compliant. They lost Jacob Ramsey. That was a big loss for them. They added Sancho. I think Harvey Elliott is a really, really big, really, really good snag for them, a really big addition, uh, depending on how highly you rate Elliott. Squad feels a little bit thinner than it did last year. Um, we've seen them not really perform so far this year that well. Um, it would have been even worse if they had lost their goalkeeper, actually, who was looked like he was going to be going to Manchester United, but ended up staying. So I have Villa where they at the spot right here, um, at the yeah, at the 15 spot. Excuse me. Um, Next on the list, I have Brentford. I think losing both their top scorers, a good percentage of their offense, basically, in Mbeumo and Visa, is difficult to bring back. I know though the replacements aren't necessarily to that level of production, possibly as what left, but we'll see. We'll see. It's going to be a different team now that they don't have their old manager, and they have a new manager at the helm. So, um, oh, Nelson, the Nelson loan, obviously, I love Kelleher as a keeper, so that was a big addition. Adding our former captain Henderson to the Hendo to the mix is an interesting choice, but it does also is experience and leadership. So we'll see how that pans out. And they have Atara. How do you pronounce his name? Ouattara. Otatara.
Mhm.
Okay. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you pronounce his
Yeah.
name?
It's just him. Yeah. I know
Something
he's
different. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Okay.
I know he's talking about. Yeah. We'll leave it at that.
We'll see if it's enough.
Yeah.
We'll see if it's enough. I don't know if it's going to be, but Brentford is Brentford had a good year last year, a decent year last year for Brentford. At the 17th spot, with Gahey staying there, I have Crystal Palace. I think
Interesting.
Eze gone is huge.
Big ball.
Pino obviously is in.
Good player. Very
Yeah,
good signing for them, but he's just not Eze. But he's
yeah,
still a very good signing. Yeah.
he's
Still a
signing
good
though.
signing. Yeah. Very good
I think
signing. But under the radar that signing.
has a lot to work out. To be honest with you, though, I don't know
Yeah.
what I mean. The pieces that they're losing. You know, obviously Elise the year before that, obviously Eze going to Arsenal.
Yeah.
Talks about Wharton possibly being a target, or even Gahey practically 1 foot out the door. Those are very key, essential parts of Crystal Palace's makeup, and it's difficult to see what they're going to do. I mean, even the coach was verbally. Some don't care about what the press what happens with the press, but if there was no press, we wouldn't know we wouldn't have any likes of knowing what was going on. And their own coach was very vocal in the press about how he was upset or disappointed in the club's movement in this transfer window. So that's why I have Crystal Palace as low as I do. Behind Crystal Palace, I have West Ham.
Damn, it's West Ham.
Veterans out. There's talks about Potter might be on his way out. Do you realize that they have already mentioned that Potter might be replaced by Frank Lampard?
Yeah, yeah. Nothing surprises me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is something. It's going to be interesting what happens with West Ham. Fernandez and Magasa, right? They definitely bring hope to West Ham. They're good players. Paqueta staying is definitely a big positive. He's a talent. He's a coveted talent at that. But West Ham could be in a little bit of trouble. Their window didn't bring up a lot of they brought up some more red flags than anything, I think, for West Ham's window. So 2 teams left. Neither one wanting to have either one of these positions or any of these spots, the 19 and 20 spot on this list. But I'm going to say that I went with Fulham as being the 19th spot. Obviously, that leaves West Ham at the 20. And I just thought Fulham had 3 signings, one being a backup keeper. Kevin could be something of a positive for them. But I think even their coach and some of their own fans know that ambition isn't exactly the highest when it comes to their transfer window. They did very little business until the very last day, actually. So I remember looking at the list and the list that I compiled had like what they had spent,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
going into like the final day, Fulham had spent 400,000 on their window. 400, not 400,000, not 400 million, 400,000 pounds going into that final day. They ended up making some deals at the end, but that was telling that they weren't really doing much when it came to trying to wheel and deal some maneuvers. It's not easy to get below Fulham in that assessment, but I had Wolves with a brutal summer. I think Cunha, Nori, Semedo out. There's been some real unrest in the Wolves fan base. They've definitely taken a lot of. They're not happy with the status of the state of their club. Larson is good. He's a decent player. The fact that they kept Larson was a positive move. That I will admit. Another player once again who said Newcastle, no, I'm good. But net loss is glaring, and that's why I have them as the bottom of the bottom on this tier. If looking at this tier that I made, and this is obviously in order, going from left to right, being their placements. What team would you move? What team would you move? And where would you move them?
I would put City in C. I still think they made some decent signings.
Keep in mind that's that they're ranked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So would you have them in 8th spot, or would you have them in 7, 6, 5?
Probably 6. I would. Probably 6.
Okay. Where else? What other moves do you want to make?
Wolves is fine. I'll probably swap Fulham and West Ham. I would swap them.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah. The target. Yeah, I think he's okay. Yeah. I think everything else is pretty much okay. Yeah.
Okay.
That's all I would do.
Okay. All right. So that would be pretty much your list too, then, right here, or at least your list. It's obviously not much that differs from mine, but this will be yours.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably so.
Obviously, if it was Dara's list, it would be like this, but all the same.
Where are you at? Getting you on, man.
Kid Dara, and Dara has more guns than me, so I kid lightly.
He is the law.
He is the law. He is the law. Yeah. But it is something. It is. That's where. Oh, okay. That's not bad. We came in right around the 2-hour mark too. It's good.
Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah, it worked out. Full tier list. The Premier League summer transfer window. The list that's on the screen here is Delante's adjustments to my list. I think he has City being in C instead of the D tier, and he flip-flopped Fulham with West Ham. I think that's the only movement that you had on the list, I think. Everything else is pretty much the same way that I had the list. You might have the list dramatically different. You might not agree with 50%, 80%, 10%. I don't know. but tell us where you would have changed it or where and why. Put that into the comment section. That's what it's there for. And yeah, it feels good to be atop this list. It feels good to be atop this list, and it definitely is. Okay, Bonkers has it. Newcastle above. Is it Newcastle above between Everton? Maybe it's above Everton or between possibly Everton and Forest, or City and Everton. Okay, definitely. It's your list. That's your list to make, Bonkers. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I just say I disagree. That's all. And that's why we have conversation. Nothing wrong with having differing opinions. Vocalize it and definitely share it. Definitely share it. But obviously, $3 billion spent, record smash, superstars swapped, but windows aren't won in August. It's something that we all understand. They're judged in May. So we'll have to see how well a lot of these teams' acquisitions gel with each other on the pitch, who integrates, who collapses, who regrets, and who regrets will only be revealed across this long. And that's exactly what it'll be, a long and grinding season. 4 different competitions, all of which we hope to be involved in. So over to you, like I said, who nailed their summer, who bottled it? Do you buy the hype that Liverpool are just having one of the best windows of their existence? Drop your thoughts in the comments and vote in the polls. I know that this episode probably won't be one that gets to possibly the 50 likes campaign minimum, considering it is one that splits opinions. But as always, you'll never walk alone. It's always in my heart. So I hope that you hold that in your assessment of my of what I've chosen to be my tier list. Nolante, is there anything? Oh, you know what? There is something that I did want to say real quick. We will most likely have to find a new punching bag when it comes to making fun of Manchester United. Apparently, they have parted ways with Onana. I don't know if any of you knew that or not, but it is something that was spoken on today. Yeah, it'd be interesting who they bring in or what direction they go with their keeper. So
lemons.
We'll see.
Lemons.
Here you go. I mean, you read that now? No, not. It's gone. But maybe that actually is a good thing. Maybe that still puts them there, considering that they got rid of one of their weak spots on their team.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. Look, people, tiers are just that. They're all opinions. So tell us what your opinion is on not only this tier, but tell us what, in your opinion, is your tiers, your tier list. Tell us, you can tell us top to bottom, or if you want to just do top 5, or if you want to do top 10, do whatever you like to do. Drop it in the comments. It'll be much appreciated. But Nolante, is there anything you wanted to talk about or speak on real quick before we bring this tier segment to a close?
Yeah, it's all good. So still what 12th is saying, to the comments, obviously all clubs, we're hoping the signings do well. Not every signing will be 100% this season, but we'll see. Obviously, for us, we just hope our signings make the right impact to get us to that first time in the Premier League history, a back-to-back. That's all we care about. Others can do what they want. Simple as.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was the talk. I see Stabby Live is talking about we got too much done and all the best in their class. Wait, we got I think it means so much done and all the best in their class, or arguably so. We are missing clear winger depth to be able to rotate Mo and Cody, and we need CDM depth, and that would make it a 10 for Stabby Live. Um, there was um, a Paul Joyce post that spoke on the fact that apparently Liverpool aren't going to go back into the January window for Gahey. Apparently now they're going to wait until the summer to pick up the player if he's still interested in joining. The problem with that is that other teams can now start to talk to him as well. But real quick, do you think that makes a difference in our ability to maybe use it as a power play for January real quick? Do you think it's going to make a difference that we can maybe take Gahey for, I don't know, we get that 35 million now, we could say in January, here's what, do something cheeky like what Real Madrid did when they wanted to go for, when they were trying to acquire Trent Alexander-Arnold and make a bid of like, I don't know, say, we're going to give you a bid of 15 million, 10 million. Take it or leave it. If you don't, cool. We'll wait until the summer and just get them for free.
It's just as it is. It's just I don't think. I mean, it looks like it, but again, nothing is guaranteed. To be honest, so we do.
Mm-hmm. Should be interesting. Paul Joyce is pretty much, when Paul Joyce speaks, he's like E.F. Hutton. People listen. So even though he's saying that we won't go back into the January window, if the right deal emerges, I'm sure Liverpool will take advantage of it. But if it doesn't, and it's not a number that we feel comfortable with, I think we're going to wait until the summer. We'll see, and we could finalize this window. We'll see. Look, people, please do hit the like button. Join us tomorrow. I do have a even more controversial poll, or it's not a tier list, but it's a poll. And this one wasn't made by me, so just be our assessments of a journalist's idea of what he thinks the caliber of these players are. But we'll see. We'll see what you think. Join us tomorrow. You'll find out what that is if you do, unless some breaking news hits tomorrow. But I would say, yeah. Big up to everyone that joined us. Appreciate everyone, all the back and forths. And until tomorrow, up the Reds.